Okay, so first of all, good morning. We are from Group 9, and these are our group members. We have Cheryl and Priscilla. All right, so without further ado, let me begin. Okay, so I believe as researchers and consultants, it is important that we establish our research aim, objective, and followed by our research questions. So what's our research aim? Our research aim is to discover the impacts of ethical sourcing on how it will affect the companies in terms of profitability, and also in addition to discover what are the possible factors that might have influence on consumers' intention on buying ethically sourced products, right? So moving on to our next research objective, the first one is to analyze and study the effects of ethical sourcing on consumer behavior, followed by also to give a series of recommendations and suggestions to the company, Starbucks in this particular case, on how they can maintain positive impacts on their investment through ethical sourcing. And the last objective will be to identify the factors, again, to affect that affects the customer behavior and their opinions, their perceptions on ethical consumption. All right, so move to the next slide. So as for research questions, we have 4 different research questions from 2 different aspects, quantitative and qualitative. So as in terms of quantitative, we would like to find out whether or not if do customers buy ethically sourced products for the benefit of others. And the next one would be, how often do consumers purchase from companies that produce ethically sourced products, or could be even services? All right, so move on to the qualitative questions. What makes some consumers prefer ethically sourced products over non-ethically sourced? And last one would be, what are the customers' perception towards ethically sourced products and services? All right. With that, we have also developed our research framework and hypothesis for testing purpose. As you can see from here, we have self-identity, ethical obligation, and followed by altruism as our independent variables to find out if any of these variables will have any effects on ethical consumption, which is our dependent variables. And with that being said, of course, we have also established our hypothesis, which is related to each of the variables. Self-identity will possibly affect one decision towards the ethical consumption, and second one would be ethical obligation will be positively influenced on customers' intention, and the last one would be altruism, will influence toward ethical consumption intentions. All right. Stay one more. Okay, so for the remaining of the presentation, it will cover on these 4 aspects: results, discussion of analysts, recommendations, and lastly will be our references. Okay, so I'd like to hand over to the next speaker.
Okay, over the next slide. So this will be the demographics for our 201 respondents as collected from the quantitative data from surveys. And from the first one over here will be our age group, and secondly over here will be our gender. And the majority of our respondents are from 19 to 30 years old, while the gender-wise will be female more than males. Next slide, please. So number of visits to Starbucks, it will be once a month. And lastly will be the monthly Starbucks spending, and most of them actually chosen $10 and under. And this will be like the 3 hypotheses when we use the test, the result generated after using the SPSS test. So this is the first hypothesis with regards to self-identity. So self-identity will positively affect one's decision towards ethical consumption. So the highlighted parts, which is the 4 areas over here, these are the results that we needed to use in the test results, and you can move forward the slides accordingly. The second one, ethical obligation, will positively influence consumers' intention. Next. And lastly will be the altruism. So if you go on to the next slide, this is actually our independent variables over on the left-hand side here, and the p-value for chi-square is actually 0.000%. So as long as it's less than 0.5%, it proves that there's a relationship between the independent and dependent variables. And for the right-hand side over here, it will be the R value, the p-value for R value. So all in all, it's 0.00%. So it actually has a correlation between the independent and dependent variables. And As you can see over here, the R value, the most important one will actually be the ethical obligation with the highest R value of 0.665, followed by the altruism, and lastly self-identity. Next slide, please. So I'll move on to Wei.
Okay, so on this portion, I will cover on the qualitative results we collected from our interview sessions. So in terms of participants, we have total of five participants, and the 3 males consist of 3 males, and the remaining 2 are females. So we target specific group, youth age group, in an age range of 25 to 32 years old. So when we ask them how often do they visit Starbucks, let's say in a month, so the average number of visits ranging from once a month to 4 times a month. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we have gathered their responses, and we have compiled them, and I like to highlight some of the important points that they highlight to us. So one of the respondents mentioned that the customer base would definitely increase, and also a sense of loyalty towards the organization, especially for those more ethical aware individuals. They'll be more inclined to or have higher tendency to visit Starbucks even more in the future. And price was also one of the concerns that they point out to us from the result of this 100% ethically sourced products. Because Starbucks, as of now, is already on a little bit of pricey list as compared to their competitors. So the last point will be they should do more promotion to increase and spread the awareness so that consumers, they will be aware of the reason behind why there is a certain price increase. All right. But all in all, based on our interview sessions, all of the respondents, they were positive, and they're very supportive towards this change, and all of them are willing to continue to support Starbucks even more in the future. And one of the things that they are also committed and willing to share this information to increase the awareness, and also they're willing to encourage their friends, relatives to encourage Starbucks to promote ethical awareness, and also to boost the brand image for Starbucks as an environmentally friendly company. All right, so on that note, I would like to hand over to the last speaker.
Hi, I'm Priscilla. So I'll be discussing the analysis of our research. So we've done both quantitative and qualitative data collection as mentioned by my peers. So from the quantitative data collection, we found that majority of the respondents agree that the following 3 variables have a positive impact to their consumption of ethical products. So firstly is self-identity. This refers to how the consumers feel when about their own uniqueness when they purchase ethical products. So in the context of Starbucks, it may be that walking around with a Starbucks coffee cup makes them feel cooler and encourages them to purchase from Starbucks. Or maybe when they sit down at Starbucks, they find that it's a more productive place for self-study or discussion. So these are some self-identity factors. The second variable is ethical obligation. So this refers to the consumer's behavior or perception that they view consumption of ethical products as a social mechanism beyond their personal dimensions. This means that the consumers might feel obligated to purchase ethically sourced products because they feel that it is their responsibility to play a part in, for example, saving the environment or supporting a social cause. So consumers purchasing ethically sourced coffee or tea from Starbucks might feel that it is their responsibility to purchase these products to do their part in saving the environment. And the third variable, altruism, is the belief that well-being of others is equally important or even more important than the well-being of oneself. So this involves putting the welfare of others before one's own. And Starbucks consumers might purchase ethically sourced products in order to ensure their purchases benefits workers and ensure they are paid fairly. And these quantitative data provided statistics to test our hypothesis. However, it does not reflect true sentiments of ethical consumption. So to understand the influence behind ethical consumption further, we collected qualitative data, and most of them are supportive and open to purchasing ethically sourced products from Starbucks, but pricing is a concern. So based on our literature research, we found that Burt and Hughes, the researchers, they found that there are 3 types of ethical consumers. So the first group are mainly consumers that are motivated by their moral values and are able to make trade-offs, such as pricing. So this supports the quantitative data that we collected, where it shows that our respondents feel that they are ethically obligated to purchase these items. And the second group are consumers that are motivated by brand names and quality of products. And this also supports our quantitative data where respondents purchase from Starbucks based on their brand and how it makes them feel. And the final group is the so-called selfish group of consumers where they are not easily persuaded and are driven by pricing. So these group of purchasers usually purchase products that are the cheapest, but this is not reflected in our quantitative data, but more so in our qualitative data where it showed that our respondents are concerned by the pricing. So this literature supports the findings from our quantitative research where most of our respondents fall into group 1 and 2 of consumers, where they are motivated by moral values and branding or quality of the products. However, based on qualitative research, we found that other than these 3 variables, our respondents are also concerned about the price points. And according to our data collected, our respondents feel that Starbucks is considered a pricier version of most other coffee or tea options available, such as Coffee Bean. And moving Starbucks products to 100% ethically sourced might cause an increase in pricing, and this may affect their purchasing behavior. So researchers Endorfer and Leib did a study on the influence of information, price, and morals on ethical consumption, and found that by reducing the prices of fair trade coffee, it led to a positive effect on fair trade coffee consumption. So this shows that there is a demand in ethically sourced products even when there were so although they ran a promotion, they found that there was greater number of purchases, but even when they didn't do any promotion, it didn't bring down the number of purchases. People still continued to purchase. So this shows that there is a demand for ethically sourced products, but as with any business with promotions and bundled deals, this business can drive profits further if they run promotions. And on the other hand, another study by Arnott, Boxall, and Cash, they've compared ethical consumers versus conventional consumers, and they found that ethical consumers were less sensitive to price changes, while conventional consumers were more sensitive to price changes and immediately switches to another brand when the pricing goes up. So although this kind of is different from our qualitative data where it says that respondents are sensitive to price changes, we have to remember that our qualitative data is only collected from 5 respondents, and also the background of these respondents versus the researchers' respondents are also different. They come from different culture and might have different thinking. So these are some differences. However, we can truly believe that based on this research, there is definitely demand for ethically sourced products. And linking back to our research questions, the next slide, through our data collection and analysis, we can confirm that our consumers purchase ethically sourced products for the benefit of others. And our consumers also purchase ethically sourced products about once a month or every week. And what makes them prefer ethically sourced products over the others? It's their moral values, pricing, convenience, and also branding and quality of the product. And lastly, what are their perceptions towards ethically sourced products? It's that these products are more environmentally friendly, it provides workers with better benefits and better quality products, but it may be pricey. So I'll pass it on to my peer who will talk about recommendations.
So definitely this is the last slide for today, and it will be a set of recommendations. So the first one is effective marketing communication channels such as brand or product labeling. So for example, how do you want Starbucks consumers to know that you guys have achieved 100% ethically sourced products? You can place it on the coffee cups, on the piece of paper over there while you're holding it, and by doing that, you can gather attention from the selected target markets, which is around 19 to 30 years old, and it also raises awareness of its ethical products and ethical consumerism in general, because Starbucks is actually a popular chain coffee house, and it confirms to achieving the consumer's self-identity of positively affecting a consumer's decision towards ethical consumerism. Secondly, it will be additional training for its employees, because despite the usual training, additional training should be required for product training purposes regarding the ethical practices, as well as its products will further educate not only the employees, but the employees can also educate the consumers in time to come. And the last one would actually be pricing strategy. A good pricing strategy is essential, because by understanding its consumers' point of view with regards to the pricing after having achieved 100% ethically sourced products, Then, like as what Priscilla and Benny has mentioned, which is the price system, then we can actually do a reward system like buy 10 drinks or buy 10 products from Starbucks and then you get one free in order to retain them. And secondly, it will be the competitive advantage against competitors. By knowing that your consumers are aware of the price change or like they are more price sensitive, you can actually do retain the price, or you can actually increase the price gradually, but not definitely by a lot of it. And because in order to do that, you can retain your customer, and you also have your 100% ethically sourced products, which is good product quality, and lastly, you conform to your company practical practices. Yeah. So next slide will be our references. Thank you.
Let's go back to your statistics that you presented.
Yes. The
Yeah.
SPSS.
Next one. Next slide. Yes. Next slide.
Next.
Down.
Down.
Next one. Yeah, this summary. So when you talk about your chi-square, it's to prove whether hypothesis supported or not supported.
Yes.
Because the correlation is already to establish the relation.
The relationship.
So in your p-value, chi-square, you shouldn't talk about that it's a relationship.
I see.
It's about whether your hypothesis, each one is supported or
Supported or not. Okay.
Yeah. So in your case now, all three hypotheses will be
Supported.
And
Instead
then,
of relationship.
yeah, because the correlationship is already a
Already
relationship.
there.
So once a hypothesis is supported, then you look at how strong is the relationship. That's how we should be positioning it.
Got it.
Yeah, just to clarify that one.
Thank you.
All right.